The Senate will come to order. Senator Kafalis will lead us in the pledge.
Thank you, Madam President Pro Tem. Good morning, colleagues and guests. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Majors, would you please take the roll?
Aguilar. Balmer. Baumgartner.
Excused.
Brophy. Cadman. Crowder. Grantham. Guzman. Harvey. Heath. Herpin. Hill.
Which committee is it?
Hill.
Absent.
Hodge. John. Johnston. Jones. Kafalis.
Wait, was it Hill?
Kerr. King. Lambert. Lundberg. Marble. Newell.
Is she on? Absent.
Nicholson. Renfro. Rivera. Roberts. Scheffel. Schwartz.
Excused.
Stedman. Tocktrop. Todd. Ulibarri. Zenzinger. Zenzinger. Baumgartner. Newell. Madam President.
Here. With 33 present, 1 absent, 1 excused, the Senate has a quorum. Approval of the journal, Senator Herpin.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the reading of the journal for Wednesday, February 12th, 2014 be dispensed with, and the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Motion is adopted. Committee reports.
February 12, 2014, Committee on Health and Human Services, after consideration, the Marriage Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 101 be amended as follows and also amended for the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation. February 12, 2014, Committee on Health and Human Services, after consideration, the Marriage Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 18 be amended as follows and also amended for the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation. February 12, 2014, Committee on Education, after consideration, the Marriage Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 1 be amended as follows and also amended for the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. February 12, 2014, Committee on Education, after consideration, the Marriage Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 6 be postponed indefinitely. February 12, 2014, Committee on Education, after consideration, the Marriage Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 112 be referred to the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation. February 12, 2014, Madam President, the Committee on Education has had under consideration and set a hearing on the following appointments, recommends the appointments be confirmed. Members of the Board of Trustees for Western State Colorado University, effective December 31st, 2013, for terms expiring December 31st, 2017. Noel E. Hagan of Gunnison, Colorado, Democrat, reappointed. James G. Oates of Gunnison, Colorado, Republican, appointed. And Aquino G. Gallegos of San Luis, Colorado, a Democrat, appointed. February 12, 2014, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration, the Mayor's Committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 100 be postponed indefinitely.
Senate Services.
February 13, 2014, correctly printed Senate Bills 144 and 145, correctly re-engrossed Senate Bills 21, 27, 30, 36, 41, 54, 62, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, and 120, Senate Joint Resolutions 4 and 11, correctly re-revised House Bill 1053, correctly enrolled Senate Bill 7.
Message from the reviser.
February 12, 2014, we herewith transmit without comment as amended House Bills 1065 and 1099.
Introduction of bills.
Senate Bill 146 by Senator Schwartz and Representative Wilson concerning information that the Department of Transportation may consider when conducting a traffic investigation for the purpose of determining the appropriate speed limit for a portion of a state highway for which a municipality has proposed a speed limit alteration.
Transportation.
House Bill 1008 by Representative Hamner and Senator Schwartz concerning the authorization of the Colorado Water Resources Power Development Authority to make loans to private entities for purposes of forest health projects.
Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy.
House Bill 1018 by Representative Hamner and Senator Stedman concerning the requirement that the Department of Revenue prepare a tax profile and expenditure report every 2 years.
Finance.
House Bill 1021 by Representatives Mitch Bush and Hamner and Senator Schwartz concerning the penalty for violating a road restriction for vehicle combinations over 35 feet in length traveling on Independence Pass.
Transportation.
House Bill 1022 by Representative Landgraf and Senator Newell concerning alignment of the duration of the child care authorization notice with the child care assistance eligibility period for children participating in the Colorado Child Care Assistance Program.
8.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 1103 by Representative Pabon and Senator Harvey concerning the criteria that certain securities must meet to qualify as legal investments for public funds.
Finance.
House Bill 1112 by Representative Lebsack and Senators Ulibarri and Roberts concerning limited authorization for a county clerk and recorder to redact the first 5 digits of Social Security number from a public document recorded with the clerk and recorder at the request of the individual to whom the Social Security number is assigned.
Local Government.
House Bill 1129 by Representative Lebsack and Senator Hodge concerning the submission by a state agency to a local government of information related to an application to the local government to approve a major utility facility.
Local Government.
House Bill 1130 by Representative McCain and Senator Ulibarri concerning the disposition of monies charged to borrowers for costs to be paid in connection with foreclosure.
Local Government. Okay. Please add Senators Hill and Schwartz to the roll. Committee reports. So committee reports got added. And then when they...
February 12, 2014, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration, the Mayor's Committee recommends following Senate Bill 61 be postponed indefinitely. February 12, 2014, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration, the Mayor's Committee recommends following Senate Bill 129 be amended as follows and also amended for the Committee on Finance. A favorable recommendation. February 12, 2014, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration, the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 123 be amended as follows and also amended for the Committee on Finance with favorable recommendation. February 12, 2014, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration, the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 131 be amended as follows and also amended for the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. February 12, 2014, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology, after consideration, the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 137 be amended as follows and also amended for the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. February 12, 2014, Madam President, your Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology has had under consideration and sat hearing on the following appointment and recommends the appointment be confirmed. Member of the Colorado Racing Commission for a term expiring July 1st, 2017, Pam Oldham Inman of Castle Rock, Colorado, and a resident of the 4th Congressional District who has been engaged in business in a management level capacity for at least 5 years, appointed. February 12, 2014, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology, after consideration, the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 117 be referred favorably to the Committee on Finance.
Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we proceed out of order for the purpose of considering SJRs 8.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The Senate will proceed out of order for the purpose of considering SJR 008. Consideration of resolutions. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of SJR 008?
Senate Joint Resolution 8 by Senators Cadman and Carroll and Representative McNulty concerning Purple Star veterans and families and the establishment of a homecoming preparedness program in the Department of Defense.
Majority Leader Cadman. Minority
no.
Leader Cadman.
Thank you, Madam President Pro Tem. Members, I move SJR 8, ask for it to be read at length. And members, guests, could you please give us your attention on this resolution? Fairly important this morning.
Mr. Majors, would you please read the resolution SJR 008 at length?
Whereas, the sacrifices of the members of our military, as well as those of their families and communities, continue to be given willingly and selflessly to protect the freedoms that our country enjoys. And whereas this sacrifice can result in loss of life and permanent physical injury, as well as significant emotional, mental, and spiritual stress for many who serve. And whereas, according to a 2013 Department of Veterans Affairs report, every 65 minutes in the United States, a United States veteran dies from suicide. And whereas, for every United States soldier killed in Afghanistan or Iraq, 25 military veterans commit suicide after returning home from their service. And whereas, after the military service, veterans who served in Afghanistan and Iraq have a 75% higher rate of fatal motor vehicle accidents than do civilians, often thought to be linked to post-traumatic stress disorder. And whereas Purple Star Veterans and Families, PSVF, is dedicated to establishing formal training to assist service members on transitioning to civilian life and strengthening the homecoming safety net for service members and veterans, and just as importantly for the families of service members and veterans. And whereas the vision of PSVF is national policy change at the military and governmental levels to dramatically improve the way military personnel prepares for the transition from military service to civilian life, including a program in the Department of Defense to prepare personnel for the transition to civilian life prior to their separation from service. And whereas PSVF hopes to reduce the incidence of suicide, accident fatalities, divorce, child abuse and neglect, alcoholism, drug addiction, incarceration, and homelessness among our country's military personnel, veterans, and their families. And whereas PSVF is focused on the Department of Defense implementation of a comprehensive homecoming preparedness training program for all active duty personnel before they leave the military, creating a standardized and readily available homecoming preparedness guide, and providing resources for families before welcoming their veterans home. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the 69th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that we, the members of the Colorado General Assembly, petition the United States Department of Defense to develop and implement a program of homecoming preparedness training for all military personnel prior to and immediately following separation from military service, particularly for service members with combat and combat-related job specialties. Encourage the Colorado Department of Military and Veterans Affairs to work with national and local veterans organizations, including Purple Star Veterans and Families, to develop effective transition strategies for returning service members, and commend Purple Star Veterans and Families for its work in supporting veterans and active duty personnel with the difficult transition home. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to President Barack Obama, the Executive Director of the Colorado Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, the members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Colorado Congressional Delegation, and Purple Star Veterans and Families.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President Pro Tem. Please have a seat. Thanks for your attention to that resolution. Less than 1% of our population serves in the armed forces. Think of that. Protecting an entire nation, 320 to 30 million people, less than 1%. In the entire history of our country, less than 8% of our population has worn the uniform to serve in its protection. It's a pretty small number. But out of that small number, every day, one or more of our national defenders will be killed in a mission-related incident or accident or in combat. Every day. Every day. Every day, 10 or more will be seriously wounded, scarred, maimed, or disfigured. Every day. And nearly every day of every year, one active duty member of the military will commit suicide. And finally, to this resolution, the numbers that are hard to believe and impossible to understand, that every 65 minutes a veteran commits suicide. This rate is 300% greater than the national suicide rate. In May of 2013, these astounding facts were shared by Coast Guard Rear Admiral Dean Lee just last May while he was delivering his remarks at the National Day of Prayer event in Washington, D.C. Admiral Lee shared the extreme challenges, the pressure, the stresses that are unique to our nation's defenders who voluntarily, remember, voluntarily subject themselves to in their service to our country. And the Admiral asked for those in attendance to pray for these men and women, their leaders, and their families. So what a tragic irony that a veteran is more likely to kill themselves after serving than to be killed or injured during active duty. Isn't that amazing? 2 to 1 chance of dying after serving, after surviving combat, the incidents, the accidents. And it happens every day. I remember my brother calling home from basic training a long time ago, because we're only 2 years apart, mentioning during basic training where you're getting ready to serve, where they lost a guy that night in a tank accident. I was in disbelief and I was scared for my brother in training, 2 weeks into it. 2 weeks into it. This resolution almost speaks for itself. It tells the story that needs to be told of a problem that needs to be solved. This resolution is about people who are hurting that need to be healed. And I've really thought about this often since meeting Adam, who I'll introduce you to shortly, last year. When we met and he shared what this project was about, he shared it with President Morris and I, and we immediately agreed that we wanted to be a part of this, and I apologized that it took us this long to get this done. But we were immediately moved by what you shared. We immediately put the pins on, and people do constantly ask about them, so the message is getting out. And I'm sorry, President Carroll, I meant to bring you a pin, but I will give you mine. I thought about the 65 minutes, and often on my commute from Colorado Springs, that by the time I get here, we've already lost another one. By the time I get home, we've already lost another one. How can a soldier survive active duty and then find nothing left to live for after he comes home or she comes home? I'm thankful, Adam, that you're here. He's one of the co-founders of this project. He's a Marine, formerly active duty, because there's no such thing as a former Marine. Sergeant, Purple Heart, Iraq, 2 tours, 2 years. Meritoriously promoted. That means he really earned it. Way different than my promotion on the ski patrol. Multiple combat citations for bravery. His story is compelling, and he almost became a statistic that we were going to read about today. He co-founded this organization. The work that he is doing with the Purple Star veterans and families is worthy of our attention and our support. Hopefully better late than never. The numbers are telling us something significant, that the current services aren't working. They can't be working. We're failing these people. This resolution sends a strong message to Congress and the Veterans Administration that our veterans can't wait. They offered to give everything to serve and to protect us, and this is a small but meaningful chance to offer to do the same for them. Appreciate your attention this morning. Appreciate your service. Would you please help us welcome Adam and his co-founders of the project?
Madam President.
Thank you, Madam President. I too just want to extend some thanks for the work that is being done by the Vision of the Purple Star veterans and families for what you've done. We hear about these statistics, and what's nice to know is that rather than wringing hands and accepting this unacceptable fate, that the vision of this organization and the leaders behind it has decided to step up and say, you know what, we can get in here and make a difference. This organization has been dedicated to helping people transition successfully back into society, to educate, to help make sure that resources are available, and to advocate so that the responsibility of the federal government and everybody else, ultimately we need to accept that our obligation, our duty to honor those who have served does not stop when they come back. It is our responsibility to support them, obviously, while they are there. But sometimes the most difficult and unforeseen work really is in this gap of transition, and that work saves lives. And by being here today, you are helping increase awareness. All of us in this chamber support you in the work that you're doing to help people successfully transition back to civilian life so that all of us can benefit from the skills and the leadership of all of our men and women who have served before. So again, thank you so much for the work you're doing here. We join you in your continued effort and vision and making sure that nobody who has ever served this country falls through a gap. Thank you very much.
Other discussion. Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I don't know if I'm the only member of veteran of foreign wars in the legislature. There may be others. I'm sure maybe Senator Heath has served. I don't know if you were in Vietnam but actually serving overseas. And this is not just a military problem. Having served for several years with the State Department in overseas locations, there's a problem of changing cultures. Especially in third world countries or countries that are involved with conflict, that when our foreign service officers, sometimes our intelligence officers or our military come back, there's a culture shift. I distinctly remember coming back from the Middle East and hearing the expression, "I'm having a bad hair day." And I'd never heard that before. I'd been gone for 3 years in the Middle East. And you suddenly realize there's been a conversation back home that I wasn't part of. I'd never heard that before. And everybody was saying it. It was one of those popular expressions in 1994. Those little things can begin to mount up. Stresses that typical people in our society go through are magnified. And even within the military, we have a chain of command. We try to have good responsibility. But sometimes even those programs that are designed to help may actually distance people from the help that they need. It's part of the integrity of the military that the commander is always responsible. And yet sometimes a commander can take the temptation of, well, this isn't really my problem. This is the problem of the social actions officer. Or this is the problem of the hospital. And my Marine or my soldier, my airman, need to go down there to find their help. And that kind of distances a commander from the responsibility of taking charge and fixing some of these problems really as a family within their units. I've seen post-traumatic stress disorder very much firsthand, not just among military members, but sometimes among families. And in one condition, and I won't go into much detail on this just to protect the privacy of the individual, but an Army warrant officer who was assigned to me in the Middle East came into Amman, Jordan. He had, I don't know, maybe 36 hours, 48 hours to kind of sleep because he came from the United States. And I was the acting senior officer in the country, the defense attaché at the time. And this was our new guy coming into country. He had come from Somalia, service in Somalia. And if you've ever seen the movie Black Hawk Down, you can imagine the kind of history that he went through. And coming back into a Middle Eastern environment, a Muslim Arab country, I won't go into all the details, but he suddenly became what I considered suicidal. This is a real problem. And this was my new troop. He was going to be the guy that was going to take charge of our one of our major programs in the country. And he not only was crying, I mean, he was just about rolled up in a fetal position, begging for help. So my next call was to U.S. Central Command, and I said, I don't know why you're sending him here without being vetted by the medical establishment. He is going to be on the next plane with my other warrant officer, basically in custody to make sure he doesn't hurt himself, and he's going back to Germany today. And said, oh, you can't do that because the personnel system assigned him there and you won't get another. I said, you're not listening. This officer is out of here. He's not going to be ineffective in doing his job, but more so, he's a risk to himself until he gets help. And those are hard decisions to make, especially when you have a very small number of people. You know, we're always in government stressed for manpower, but we have to think of the individuals first. What about here? We just had 2 airmen killed at Schriever Air Force Base in El Paso County about, I don't know, a month ago, 2 months ago, driving to work. It was icy. I've heard there are 6 airmen either killed or injured in traffic accidents driving to Schriever Air Force Base. You've ever heard of Schriever? You know where it is? It's a little tiny place, but about 6 people per year. And this is just routine duties. I've been on bases where aircraft crashed and could be heard the sound of the crash from miles around, where other squadron members, other family members knew that that sound could only mean one thing. And from the vision of the smoke, would know that somebody, one of their friends, one of their family members had died. So I think the intent here of this particular resolution is to recognize, first of all, our heroes that do go into combat, that are put in harm's way, that are wounded, that are killed, that are honored with Purple Star, or the Purple Heart. This is the Purple Star resolution. But there are also other kinds of wounds. And it's very appropriate that we understand, especially as our veterans are coming back into society, that although many of them will be very, very resilient, there is a reacculturation process. There's a process of pain. There's a process sometimes of guilt or emptiness that some of them are not able to do the things they have loved to do and serving our country. So I thank President Carroll and the Minority Leader, Senator Cadman, for bringing this resolution, and I would ask you all to vote yes on the resolution.
Further discussion, Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam President Pro Tem. I want to speak up. Thank you so much for talking about the suicide statistics. It is a crisis in our country, but in particular in our state, we are one of the highest suicide rates in the country, and it's even worse with the veterans in our state. And it is also a problem in Colorado, where we are one of the lower states with contributing to our veterans' resources in the country. And we, honestly, I believe, should step that up. But I wanted to say thank you for not only bringing this forward, but also for your work in not only the veterans, but the families. And I speak as a former wife of a Vietnam veteran, 82nd Airborne, who came back with severe PTSD, and physically he was able to escape bullet holes going through his shirts, and yet he came back to tell those stories, but he had severe emotional problems, and so much so that it affected our entire family. It affected our marriage, it affected our children, and for the rest of our lives, we will never be the same because of that effect. So it affects the veterans, but also all of the families. And then that spills out into the workplaces. And so this is such critical work that we support those resources coming back, so that we don't hear stories of my former husband who had a gun in his mouth more times than I can count. So thank you very much for your work. And thank you for bringing this.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Madam President Pro Tem. I rise in support of this resolution in more ways than you can imagine. War does not end when you come home. As the mother of a Marine Sergeant Line Company machine gun unit, we have seen and had deployments from the Battle of Fallujah in October of 2004, Anna, Rawa, Haditha, Ramadi, to South Helmand Province, July 2nd, 2009. I will never forget any of those deployments. And looking into the eyes of those parents and those family members, the wives, the children, who, as the military, in my case Marines, are loading onto those buses, waiting to go to Cherry Point, running and hugging their father for the last time, their sons, their grandsons, fathers saluting each other, grandparents. It's something to be seen, all in the dark of night with just the lampposts, and it's surreal. It's almost as if you're in a movie. You always wonder what kind of homecoming your son or your loved one will have. Will it be one where the joys and cheers of everyone there on the deployment, will they be welcoming them home, or will they be coming home in that flag-draped coffin? How do you say that last goodbye? How do you look that parent in the eye when they come to your homecoming and you know that their son is not there. It's hard to describe the pain that is universal throughout military families. Because when their loved one comes home from deployment, it's not just what they see, it's what they smell, it's what they hear, it's things that they feel. Those smells they'll never forget. And you know what those smells are. And you know when they wake up in the morning, all those Marines, and you see them and their eyes are almost closed shut from crying all night long, alone. Because once they get home, they don't have a task to pay attention to and a duty to attend to. All of a sudden, those visions haunt them forever. They hear those sounds. They can't escape. And they feel so alone because no one is there to talk to them about it. And certainly no one their age can ever relate to anything that they've been through at home. The isolation is intense, and there's no one to talk to. I want to thank President Carroll and Minority Leader Cadman for bringing this forth. And I want to thank you for bringing this to our attention and giving hope to those who return from war and those families who welcome them. Even though we have open arms, to those returning, it seems so empty because of what they've been through. War goes on forever, but this is a good chance to maybe make it a little easier. Thank you so much.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam President. Transition from wartime to civilian life is not a new concept. It's new to this country. You know, if you look at your history, most of your ancient wars, there was a situation where when the troops were done with their service in battles, they would be transitioned to an island isolated away from the general public. And the situation was so people could come down. And if you can imagine in the way it was in Vietnam, I can't tell you about the Middle East, but in the morning you're in the bushes in Southeast Asia, your orders are to come home, and by dark you're in San Francisco. It was still the smells of the country in which you just left. You know, there was an attempt way back to do a transition, but the problem was, you know, as a veterans, what you want when your service is done, you want to go home. You don't want to have to come back to the country and wait 30 or 60 days, although it was better for the veteran. You know, I appreciate you bringing this forward, Mr. Cadman, Ms. Carroll. You know, it's a serious situation. As a veteran service officer, I dealt with this quite a bit, PTSD and suicidal tendencies, and it's a situation that it's extremely hard to, you know, I'm of the opinion the only one that can really deal with it is your military medical field. You know, I believe that, you know, unless you've experienced this type of situation, it's very hard to comprehend what it's all about. And I can't even tell you what it's all about because I don't know. You know, but it's a situation that needs to be looked at. I know that not only suicide, but there's a lot of incidents, you know, as a veteran service officer and also serving in the Honor Guard military funerals, you know, we bury a lot of people. You wonder why exactly they died at such an early age. There's diseases out there we're not even sure of, you know. But I think it's a good issue that this is brought about. You know, the suicidal tendencies are a factor that need to be dealt with, and it's a very complex issue. You know, But I do believe as long as this country keeps sending our youth to war, we need to do everything possible to make sure that the inflictions are cared for. And that's why I am and I hope you all are, a veterans advocate. There's it's a great life, and I personally I would not change any of it, in my past. But there are incidents that happen that you're just not aware of and you just don't understand. But that's why I hold the veterans in very high esteem. Hoo-yah! Thank you.
Further discussion? Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, President Guzman. I really want to extend my gratitude to Adam and my good friend, Representative Greg Rippey, and your core of support folks who have been getting this done. A special thanks to President Carroll, who said, yes, let's get this done so that we're not talking about what we missed next year. Appreciate the sentiments that were shared here as well. This resolution, as you have heard, is about being proactive, about providing hope and opportunity and healing, being proactive, because we know being reactive only provides funerals. Appreciate your support. Ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, could I please ask members to stand? And the motion before the body is for the adoption of SJR 008. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, and 0 absent, and 0 excused, SJR 008 is adopted. President Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the present roll call be added as co-sponsors to this joint resolution.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. We will be in recess for a few moments so we can greet our guests. Thank you.
The Senate will come back to order. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move we proceed out of order for the purpose of reconsidering House Bill 1164.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. We'll proceed out of order to take up reconsideration of 1164 at this time.
You better move a call because we got people out of the room.
Mr. Majority Leader.
I move for a call of the Senate.
A call of the Senate has been moved and sort of sustained. Hands up. Sustained. Mr. Majors, would you please poll the senators?
Aguilar. Balmer. Baumgartner. Brophy. Cadman. Crowder. Grantham. Guzman. Harvey. Heath. Herpin. Hill. Hodge. John.
I think we're okay.
John.
Madam President.
Mr. Majority Leader.
I move the call be raised.
Call will be raised. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that House Bill 1164 lay over until tomorrow, Friday, February 14th.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, I think before we move to laid over, we need to actually move to reconsider. Well, actually, I think we did already move to reconsider.
We did. The question, did we vote?
Forgive me, we moved to proceed out of order. So I think we just need to move to reconsider 1164 first.
Thank you,
Majority
Madam President. I think you're absolutely right. Having voted on the prevailing side, I move for the reconsideration of House Bill 1164 and ask for an aye vote.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Ayes have it. We'll reconsider House Bill 1164. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that House Bill 1164 lay over until tomorrow, Friday, February 14th.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. House Bill 1164 will lay over until tomorrow, February 14th.
We took up consideration about reading the bill title. Did we need to read the bill title? You know what? I think. Yeah, I think you're right.
Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to 1164?
Oh, wrong date.
House Bill 1164 by Representative Holding Horse Senator Yieldberry concerning nonpartisan elections not coordinated by county clerk and recorder in connection therewith creating the Colorado Local Government Election Code for the conduct of such elections by special district, harmonizing residency requirements for voter registration, modifying Colorado Municipal Election Code of 1965, and clarifying when elections are coordinated by county clerk and recorders.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Let's do this again. Thank you, Madam President. Having voted on the prevailing side, I move for the reconsideration of House Bill 1164 and ask for an aye vote.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Sir Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that House Bill 1164 lay over until tomorrow, Friday, February 14th.
For the motion, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. House Bill 1164 lays over till tomorrow, February 14th. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Just so everybody knows, I think you know we have a joint transportation hearing at 10 this morning, which we are going to do our best to honor. So with that in mind, Madam President, I move we lay over the balance of the calendar until Valentine's Day, Friday, February 14th at 9 a.m.
For the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The balance of the calendar will lay over. Signing of bills.
February 13, 2014, the President has signed Senate Bill 7 and 26.
Delivery to the Governor.
February 13, 2014, to the Governor for signature on Wednesday, February 12, 2014 at 4:41 p.m., Senate Bill 7. February 13, 2014, to the Governor for signature on Thursday, February 13, 2014 at 8:18 a.m., Senate Bill 26.
Announcements. Senator Todd.
Thank you, Madam President. And I want to ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you. First and foremost, I do want to say thank you very much to Senator Cadman and to Madam President for the important resolution that we heard this morning. I think it all put us in a little bit of a somber mood, and it touched our hearts in such a way to help us remember that there are people that are in need and in need of our support every day. So again, thank you both very much for that. In addition to that, according to our rules, I do have a group of individuals who've been recognized statewide for a significant accomplishment and achievement. And so I'm going to ask that you please join me as I tell you a little bit about these young women. These young women, not only are they beautiful on the outside, but inside, and their character. And this is a group of young women who have participated in various different pageants. And when we think of pageants, sometimes we just think of beauty pageants and we kind of leave it at that. This goes so much further beyond that. This is a group, an organization that is an opportunity that really allows these young women to gain poise, self-confidence, valuable communication skills, and also serve their communities in so many different ways. So this morning we have Miss Brianna Wheeler, who is Miss Colorado Teen, and Brianna is a student at Cherry Creek Trail High School in Cherry Creek. We have Miss Sarah Weeks, who is Colorado Junior Teen, who attends Estes Park High School. We have Caitlin Egan, who is Miss Colorado Preteen, who is a student at Prairie View Middle School. We have Miss Abigail Mary, who is a National American Miss Princess, who is from Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado Springs. And we have Amara Griffin, who is Miss Junior Preteen, who also attends Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado Springs, and Emily Bordon, who is a Princess Cover Girl, and she is a student at Chinook Elementary School in Colorado Springs. These young women have been involved in so many different projects in their communities. Holiday food drives, donating books, cancer awareness, flood recovery, nursing homes, dog rescue programs, and homeless shelters. So when we think about what about our future, I feel very confident of raising up these young women. They're strong, they are intelligent, they are serious about being good students, and they are active participants in their communities. I applaud them, and I also applaud their parents, because without that parental support and guidance and direction, they would have a much more difficult time choosing the right paths. So again, please join me in welcoming these lovely ladies who from their heart to their head represent Colorado.
Mr. Majority Leader. Message from the House.
February 13,
Lucky
2014,
day.
Madam President, the House passed on third reading and transmitted the advisory statutes House Bill 1110 as amended, House Bill 1030 as amended.
Now, Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. With that, I move that the Senate adjourn until 9 a.m. Friday, February 14th, Valentine's Days for all of you guys. Don't forget the woman in your life. And so with that, I move we adjourn.
That is a proper motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Senate will adjourn until tomorrow, 9 a.m., Friday, February 14th.